Here are 7 reasons on why you should pull for Raiden Shogun. Number 1. She is the Electro Archon. As we all know, both of the Archons that has been released so far has been pretty broken in their own way. Being the ruler of Inazuma, and with such a strict way of ruling it, we should expect a powerful presence when we get a hold of an Archon like Raiden. Just think of it this way. We got the also broken Venti despite him being the supposedly weakest Archon. We got the almighty and immortal Zhongli, even with him being on the verge of retiring. Imagine what we'll be able to do with the Electro Archon being on her prime. Number 2. Her elemental skill is basically permanent and it is AoE. Her elemental skill may not have the strongest multipliers, but if you consider the cooldown and its duration, you have a skill that will last almost half a minute at 25 seconds with only 10-second cooldown. And unlike any other Electro attack buff, it is AoE. Although we still have to consider if its AoE is really significant, or if it can give energy particles with every hit. Still, in the bigger picture, it's an excellent skill, especially if you're relying on electro reactions. Number 3. One of her strongest weapons will be free. The weapon that I'm talking about is the 4-star weapon named the Catch. It is a polearm that is rumored to be given to us on a future event during this update 2.0. It has a decent base attack of 510 at level 90 and very high ER of 45.9% as substat. But what's really special here is its passive. At R1, it increases elemental burst damage by 16% and burst crit rate by 6%. At R5, that's 32% increase in burst damage and 12% burst crit rate. That is unbelievably great value for a free 4-star weapon, especially if you consider the new changes in her burst that we'll talk about later. Number 4. The new Inazuma artifact is insanely good for her. We're talking about the set called Emblem of Severed Fate. It gives 20% energy recharge and it will increase your burst damage by 25% of your total ER. It maxes out at 75%, which you'll get once you reach 300% energy recharge. Now the change in her burst is that it now counts normal, charged, and plunge attacks as burst damage during her burst. This is a huge buff to her overall kit because of the amount of burst modifiers she gets from the artifact and her free weapon being added to all her attacks. Number 5. She'll work great with any other Electro characters that you've probably already built. If you've already built Fischl or Beidou, she'll work great with them as they will all share the same electro particles that they can generate. Beidou has a very high energy cost at 80, and Raiden will have even more at 90, which will be the highest energy cost for any burst. She should also work great with Keqing as Raiden is meant to be a sub-DPS. An Electro MC should be great battery for Raiden Shogun if you can reach high enough energy recharge. Number 6. Electro-Charged Immunity. During her burst, Raiden becomes immune to Electro-Charged reaction damage. Now it only said immunity to damage, and we all know that Electro-Charged also interrupts you with every tick of it. But her burst also gives interruption resistance, and if it's strong enough, you're basically immune to the whole Electro-Charged reaction. This makes her especially unique. Number 7. Raiden Shogun will help you burst the enemies with the sword coming from her burst damage. If you consider even just the first part of her burst together with her permanent skill, she'll already be one of the best burst support or sub-DPS. Now if you consider her kit as a whole, she might even become the best support in terms of damage output because of how insane her numbers are, at least on paper. Venti's burst might be the best in terms of grouping the enemies, Zhongli's might be the best at controlling the battlefield, but Raiden's damage would rip them all in pieces. And I haven't even told you that she can generate energy for the whole team during her burst. Other burst supports or sub-DPS might have problems with not having a battery. Raiden, on the other hand, should be able to handle her own while also providing energy for others. And that's it for this video. If this helped you decide on whether to pull for her or not, you can leave a like as it really helps the channel. That's all for now. As always, thanks for watching.